Welcome now to the Literacy Lounge again, and this is now our third episode. If you've not listened before, if this is your first time listening, then welcome. Hopefully it'll give you a feel of what we're like here as a team at the Literacy Company. In our previous two episodes that you might want to go and check out, I've been chatting to Alison and we've been talking about really our careers, how we've come to be working here at the Literacy Company, and it will give you a real feel what we can offer schools and teachers. In this episode, though, I've given Alison a little bit of a break, and instead I've asked Jen to come and join me with her cup of tea, ready to have a chat. Hope you've got yours ready. Before we go on to the main topic of discussion, though, we'd really like to hear a little bit more about you, Jen, and how you got into teaching, really, and then how you've come to work with us here at the Literacy Company.
Okay, hi, Sean. So I got into teaching about 21 years ago. I started off working as a teaching assistant. I'd had my first child and I was really interested, just fascinated really in seeing how he started to grow and develop and learn things and just pick up, those just fundamental sort of skills of being a human really. And I'd done my degree in psychology and applied psychology, so I'd always been quite interested in child development, and the opportunity arose. It was actually a government funded thing where they were offering MVQs and things, so I started off doing, even though I'd had done my degree, doing an MVQ in child development and early education just while I was on maternity leave, and then I just absolutely loved it and decided that that's where I wanted my career to be.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's what your degree was in. It's really important to have that basis, isn't it, when you're teaching, to understand that child development.
Yeah. So I started off, like I said, as a teaching assistant. I worked with such a range of pupils with all different needs, and I think that was giving me a really good grounding. Pupils with hearing impairment, visually impaired, Down syndrome, on the autism spectrum, all sorts of different, pupils with different needs and strengths and things, and it was lovely. So, and then I started just doing a little bit more class cover, covering things like music. Obviously, when somebody gets wind that you're interested in music, you often end up covering that, don't you? So it's one of those Marmite things, isn't it? People either love teaching or don't, and I loved it. So I started doing more class cover, and then just really, really enjoyed it, and just could see that's where, I wanted my future to
It's quite a brave thing,
teaching.
though, jumping in and doing that class cover, because I started as a TA as well, did a year as a TA to get that invaluable experience. And like you said, working with the children and seeing all that, it just really does give you a good grounding for going into teaching. Yeah. But jumping in to cover the class is another thing. It's a bit scary.
It was, but I think I was young, and you have a lot of confidence sometimes
difference
when you're young, don't you? So I loved singing and I loved music, so I would just happily get the instruments out and things like that. So so started off doing that, and then I did the graduate teacher programme. Yeah,
where you can stay in the school and they kind of pay your salary.
At the school I was at, and obviously that's a tough year. It's a lot of work, isn't it? And I'd had my twins by then as well, so I had three young children. But I'm really proud of achieving that.
You should be. I take my hat off to you to do all of that with 3 young children. I came to it later, so I didn't have any children when I was training, so I don't know how. I don't know how you managed to do that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a blur, to be honest. And then just worked in a few different schools, and then ended up Childerthornton.
And that's when we first met, isn't it?
As part of when we started the English hub at Childerthornton.
In about 2018, that's when we first met, when we were going and doing a lot of road shows with the English hub. But you did know some other members of the team, didn't you?
I did. I'd worked with Alison before and Di, so that it's lovely. It's always nice to have some familiar faces, isn't it?
Yeah, and Linda had supported your school quite a bit.
Linda was part of the furniture at Childerthornton. We'd had her in quite a lot, so it was it was lovely.
Well, you've definitely slotted in really well, and it's lovely to work with you. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a promotion today, because we're going to kind of think about the new national curriculum, particularly for English, and what we'd like it to look like. So if we were a bit higher up the ranks, maybe in the DfE, maybe if we had some control over what it was going to look like, we're going to think through that. But first of all, maybe we can think about what has already come out and what we think about it. We've already broken it down in one of our blogs, which Alison wrote for us. And we're really excited to see what the 2028 curriculum looks like. But first of all, what kind of stood out to you from it?
I mean, there was nothing in there I thought that was hugely transformational, hugely revolutionary. It's kind of some nice refinement and tweaks and clarification around things.
I think as a company, and probably again our ethos as teachers and our beliefs as teachers, I think a lot of it does make sense to us. And I really like that phrase. It is evolution, not revolution. And I think some of the changes are probably things that, like I said, we've been doing as a company, and we know that teachers are doing. We've already mentioned about music, and I was music coordinator as well when I first started, and we do have a bit of a shared love of performing, don't we?
We do.
But I think one thing is seeing that higher level of drama and spoken language and oracy coming back in again. I'm really pleased to see that.
Yeah, me too. I think it's so important, isn't it? And that was one of the things. Obviously, there's going to be a huge focus on these sort of fundamental skills and literacy, maths and science really anchor in the curriculum, but it's so important that the arts aren't lost, isn't it? And that creative process and things. So I was really pleased that there was a big focus on drama and oracy with the English part of the curriculum.
Definitely. And that framework, again, we don't know what anything's going to look like, but that framework will really support, because one of the things we've felt is, how can you show progress and assess spoken language if everyone's just got the same set of statements? So I think hopefully this framework will give a bit more direction.
Yeah, I think it's needed, isn't it? I mean, at the moment, we've got those 12 statements for speaking and listening, across Key Stage 1 and 2, but I think teachers would really welcome a little bit more clarification around that and a bit more guidance.
Yeah, I think so, because unless, like you've said, you've gone in and you've looked more at child development, and obviously work that we've done with the English Hub has focused very much on spoken language as well and development. Not everybody knows those steps and those markers, and I think that will be really purposeful. But also, like you said about having more time for the arts and that, I think I'd really hope, and there has been talk about this, it being a bit more stripped back as well. Yeah. Because I think prior to this current curriculum, some of the things that I used to love was that time for immersion and experiences for children, and it feels like maybe we've not had the time for that recently.
Yeah, the curriculum's so jam-packed, isn't it? And I think sometimes you can then end up racing through things and not giving things enough time, or studying things in enough depth for pupils, and like you say, just having that time to be able to go, actually they're really interested in this, and this would work really nicely alongside what we're currently studying. And I think making sure that there's still space for that it's a lovely part of teaching, isn't it?
It is. And I think getting your topic or whatever, or getting your book and thinking about the links, and even if you are using a program like we've written, like Pathways to Write, you can still think about how that fits in with the rest of your curriculum, and where you can find that space and time to if you're doing instructions, let's make the thing first. Let's make it and really understand it. Or if we're writing letters, really immersing them in whatever the topic is. So I think it'll be good with some of the grammar being stripped back, if it allows for that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is there anything that you kind of think is missing that you'd like to see in there?
I don't know really if missing is the word. I think Keir Starmer said, didn't he, that they were going to look radically at education.
Yes.
And I don't think that this curriculum review is radical. So I don't know if is it a missed opportunity for that real, a real transformative overhaul of education in England?
Yeah, and I think they did.
Don't know.
I think they did, obviously, didn't they? They spoke to teachers, and I think the feeling was there wasn't necessarily an appetite for anything too radical because everyone's still a little bit bruised or whatever by having to go through it last time. And I don't think people want just change for change's sake. But yes, maybe it was an opportunity, because some of the things, again, that really stand out is wanting to really make sure that this is a curriculum for everyone, and also like a curriculum fit for the future. So I think that's another thing. You've talked about the children that you've worked with in the past, having that real inclusive curriculum and classroom. We want to see all these children achieve their potential, don't we?
Absolutely. And I think that's a nice part of it, and hopefully there's going to be, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of joined up thinking around that in terms of the DfE, Ofsted and other sort of educational stakeholders. So hopefully, that's going to be there, but also the support is going to be there to allow teachers to do that.
Yes.
You can only really focus on all those individual needs if you've got the right support.
And some of that's going to come from the SEND review as well, isn't it? And obviously we know that funding is a big thing that's needed really to support with that. And I was also, when we were thinking about this, it's hard in the class sizes we've got as well, isn't it? To really cater for every child. But I think we all agree something needs to be done. I find some of the figures like really stark when you think about those lower level of literacy, can knock like 15 years off your life expectancy. So I think we really do need to see.
Yeah, it's crucial, isn't it? It's crucial that everybody leaves school with a decent standard of literacy. And I think hopefully this is going to, go some way to addressing that.
Yeah, because the other thing is also making those links between Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3 as well, thinking how that transition's supported, because I know you've taught higher up the school than me, but I know how Year 6 teachers get the standard that they can get children to, and then there's a bit of a gulf, isn't there, when they go to Key Stage 3?
Well, we've both had our children go to Key Stage 3, haven't we?
Yes,
and beyond. And I think there is a little bit of a discrepancy between the curriculum at Key Stage 2 and then the curriculum at Key Stage 3, and there's some schools out there that are doing an absolutely fantastic job of that transition and that Key Stage 3 curriculum. But I think the curriculum itself, that they don't kind of marry up too well, and I think some sort of joined up thinking again. I mean, that's why we wrote our Year 7 transition units to try and support, and we did work with some secondary schools on that, which is probably bringing us to thinking about where this is going and supporting us as a company, or how we can support schools. But before we chat about that, I was also just thinking about project that we've been doing with the Welsh local authorities and how the Welsh curriculum works as well, and having that consistency, but also going back to that space in the curriculum so that you can do what's right for your school as well. I think schools don't want to lose that autonomy, do they? No, and they shouldn't either. Because every school community is so different, isn't it? And you can have obviously similar demographics and things like that, but you want your curriculum to centre around your school and your pupils and your community. Like, it's like the beating heart, isn't it, of your community, your school, really. So I think your curriculum's got to fit.
Yeah, and having that space to react to things and respond to things, and giving children, those opportunities. So if, again, it's going back to it not being really, really crammed in. So I suppose it's probably time for us to chat and have a little think about what it means for us now as a company, and also for the schools we work with, where we're going with this curriculum. You've already started to make some revisions, haven't you, to some of our units, Jen?
Yeah, and that's been really nice, actually. I mean, the units are cracking as they stood, but it's been nice to sort of look at them with fresh eyes and think about, having recently come out of the classroom, and I've taught some classes with some, varying different needs, and I kind of keep those pupils in mind when I'm making those changes and refinements, and thinking, how would that have worked for this class, or how would that have worked for that class? And but making sure that everything is really aligned with the current thinking, the writing framework, and
the
foundational.
Because I think we're going
skills.
down that same route, aren't we? Evolution, not revolution. But also, as you've said about your background and your degree, the fundamental ways in which children learn to read and write haven't really changed, have they?
No.
That they haven't changed. Those principles are still there, and maybe they're not talked about enough anymore. I know in my degree or in my PGCE, we did a lot on that, a lot of thinking about it. And so it has been nice to put that into practice in some of the units, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And really trying to focus on those foundational skills and the core grammar concepts, I think.
Yeah, that explicit teaching and sort of thinking about the gradual release of responsibility approach as well, and all the work that the Education Endowment Foundation have done around that. So thinking about, are we making sure that those steps are all incorporated? And obviously that's something when we go out and do training with schools and planning support, we work with teachers to make sure that they're thinking about how this knowledge is going to be imparted and how the pupils are going to gain the skills. But it's nice to sort of try and make it even more explicit within the units.
Yes.
Because not all schools do.
No, and we're not saying that grammar's not important. So there are many grammar skills that we know that children need, but it's making sure that they can get the fundamentals of a sentence before having to worry about, past progressive and present perfect and all those things that we've really, as adults, had to wrap our heads around what that looks like, all those different conjunctions and adverbs in year 3. It's
jam-packed, isn't it?
It is.
And it just causes cognitive overload, doesn't it, for pupils? And
then that's when we feel like we might be teaching to a test. And that's, again, I think another thing, thinking about those tests and making sure that grammar is for a context, not just so that you can circle the adverb in a test.
Yeah,
and
grammar in theory.
Yes, and what would be really nice is once children have got those basic foundations, which is what, for me, primary school's all about, those building blocks and foundations. Once they've got those foundations and know what a sentence is, then we can work on creativity and purpose and audience.
Yeah, and it'd be really nice for schools to have those opportunities, to make more of those opportunities, to take learning in a way that suits the pupils in their classes and their school communities. Things like, when we started teaching, you'd have like really lovely project work going on, wouldn't you? And that maybe as a class you'd sort of really get into a project with them, or even as a whole school. I remember we did the zoo project where we were really teaching people about sustainability, and particularly sustainable palm oil and the impact that that can have on globally on the environment and things.
Yeah, I've seen some lovely work with that. I remember being invited to schools that did the Chester Zoo project, and we used a lot of our books that had animal themes in. A lot of them have been incorporated now into Pathways to Write, but to be invited to the schools to see the effort that the children had put in, and that goes back to being immersed in a topic, and because they've got the basic fundamental skills, they can then use their writing for that purpose.
Yeah. And it just gives, like you say, it gives them a real purpose for writing and for communicating. And it brings everybody together, like the school community together. We had parents involved and other people from the community come in, and visitors, and it gave pupils a chance as well to really practice and work on their oracy skills, because they were showing visitors around and explaining what they'd done and explaining about the project. So, and the visitors really commented on just how articulate our pupils were, but it was because they were so passionate as well. And I think sometimes that's a little bit missing from the curriculum, that passion, and you want pupils to be really passionate to learn and have that motivation. We know motivation is so key when it comes to learning,
and that intrinsic motivation, because I think we see probably some lovely writing where children have used the grammar bits that they've been taught, but like you said, it's that wanting to know how to use them to get their point across, and writing being a form of communication. And I know on some training I had years ago, it was about you can only play and break the rules once you know the rules. So hopefully with having that clear focus on what a sentence is, then we can have that creative writing, because I know that is something that people feel has been lost recently in the curriculum. Obviously, for our customers, that's one of the reasons why we went to have this Pathways Literacy platform, because anything we do now will just be there. As soon as we make any tweaks and changes, which we've done with year 1 and year 3 initially, haven't we, to make sure they've got those skills embedded. But anything else that we do, when obviously we hear a bit more about the curriculum, will just be there ready for everyone.
That's going to be invaluable, isn't it, for schools, to just have the latest products just right there at their fingertips.
And like we said, none of this is drastically new. A lot of it are the basics that we know about, knowing the importance of mastery, really letting children master those skills, knowing the importance of all that oral rehearsal. So ultimately, Jen, if we were running the DfE and having that clear focus, if we were running the DfE, we really, really would want to have that high focus, won't we, on the oracy and the spoken language.
Yeah.
We would like to have more space in the curriculum, more time to really immerse children in things, to run projects. Our units of work, you should be able to do in about 4 weeks, which gives you space and time to apply in that context. We'd like to see definitely those closer transitions with Key Stage 3. Have I missed anything, Jen? Is there anything else really?
I don't think so, Sean. I think you've covered it all. Maybe poetry, I think. Definitely it gives some more space for poetry and really developing the love of that as well.
Well, it sounds quite easy really then to run the DfE. I think within half an hour of this podcast, we've got it all sorted. We know where we're going. We know what we want it to look like, and hopefully we'll get those answers when we get in spring 2027, I think it is. We'll get the first look at it, and keep coming back to this really. But Jen, before you go, thank you ever so much for joining us. I've asked everyone so far that's coming to the Literacy Lounge to share with me their latest children's book choice. What would yours be?
Oh, well, now I'm a bit strange because I absolutely loved Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundell. That's not what makes me strange. I think lots and lots of people loved it. And I have been really looking forward to the second one. She's released a sequel, The Poisoned King. It's already been released. It was released in September, but I haven't read it yet because I cannot bear a hardback book.
So you're waiting for the paperback?
I'm waiting patiently for the paperback, which is out in May. So that I know already that it's going to be fantastic because everything she writes is fantastic.
Yes.
And I loved Impossible Creatures. So I'm waiting patiently for the paperback version to be released.
Well, maybe once you've read it, maybe we'll have to get you back on and you'll be able to tell us exactly what you thought of it.
Okay.
So
do you want me to tell you about one that
Yeah, of course. So have you got another one as well?
Yeah, I've got one that I've read.
Come on then, what's that one?
But it's not latest, it's just one that I absolutely love, and I will extol the virtues of to anybody that will listen.
Go for it.
So it's The Soup Movement by Ben Davis. It's sort of aimed, and it's, as we were talking about that, Key Stage 2 to Key Stage 3, it is kind of a book that you could read it with your sort of year 6 pupils, but there are some sort of quite...
Some themes,
gentle
with,
that you may want to wait till Key Stage 3, but it's a great year 7 book as well, year 8 even. Well, beyond, because I absolutely adored it as an adult, so yeah, any age really. But it is got some quite harrowing themes, but Ben Davis does do that, and he does it in such a great way that he still brings humour and light and humanity to everything. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So The Soup Movement I would highly recommend.
Sounds great and fits exactly in with these curriculum reforms to get that Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3 joined up thinking. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone also for listening to this episode. Our next upcoming episodes are going to focus on spring teaching and spring assessment. So I'm going to be joined by 2 other literacy consultants here who are going to talk about what to be looking out for really in spring, and our own experiences of this half term, and just hopefully some top tips for you all. So I'm going to go and put the kettle on now because we've drained our cups of tea, and we'll get ready for the next episode. And if you are enjoying it, please do remember to give us a follow.